Bring in the noise, bring down the house. We came here to turn the party out. Say, come on, let's raise the roof and give a roof that we can get loose. Y'all bring in the noise, bring down the house. We came here to turn the party out.
Well, you know, talking about what are the songs, right? So there were two major songs that I did on that record called. One was called Digital Get Down, the other one was Bring in the Noise. Now Digital Get Down is kind of an interesting tune because it's the first time in any of the NSYNC songs or even any of the boy group songs where you can see really the dance influence of EDM coming in, you know.
Right.
It's not a straight four on the floor, but it has a lot of synthetic sounds. Where the other stuff was all kind of R&B flavored, and this one was just straight EDM.
Right.
And then with Bring in the Noise, I mean, the best thing about that song is that it's such a party anthem, you know, that when you go to basketball games or football games or any kind of sports events, usually you will hear that song, you know. So it had quite a wide reach, I think, not just nationally but probably internationally. I think it really opened up people's eyes to what's possible in sales numbers.
Right.
If we look at, for instance, that particular record had sold 2.2 million in the first week, which has broken the previous record of 1.1 million by Backstreet Boys, who had broken the previous record of Boyz II Men of 500,000. So you got to think about that. That's more than 4 times of the 2 previous records, right? So, and nobody since then has ever reached it because sales are not the same anymore. So how does it changed the industry? Well, it's kind of hard to say because, you know, this type of particular music never got the respect from institutions like NARIS or the critics, you know, because it's produced and it's supposed to be bubblegum manufactured. Not really taking in consideration that you have artists like Justin Timberlake coming out of this, you know, really developing their own style and now probably being one of the biggest pop artists of all times. So, you know, how did it change the industry? I think it really combined R&B music more into the boy group sounds than it has ever done before. I know the sales were out of the roof, and I think it was at the end over 28 million copies sold, you know, it was #1. Obviously, I can't tell you for how long. I remember particularly, you know, us being excited about the first week's sales, and then even after that we had reached 8 million just in the United States, which is nowadays almost unheard of, right? So this was like right at the end of the industry still seeing huge sales, and then the internet kind of took over. But really, why should this be studied? It's one of those records where you'll start seeing an artist have a little bit more control over their own destiny and sound. And you can really hear, if you listen to the previous album, you can really hear on this album how more different influences come in. You know, especially Justin and JC really put their foot and writing into it, which before everything was manufactured, there's no question. There were songwriters from around the world writing on these. But on this, most of this was kind of written or co-written by at least 2 or 3 of the guys. So you see a lot of more of their real identity in that record, you know. And that really is continued by Justin, right? I mean, he just continued that sound and kind of developed it even more to make it his own sound. Well, you know, I can't really say that this particular record has done one particular thing. Every record that you produce is a completely new learning experience. You're in new studios, you're working with different mix engineers, you're working with a more developed artist at this point. You know, we're not on the first record anymore. I don't have to tell them how to stack background vocals anymore. They know how to do it, you know. You learn each other, you know. I don't have to give 5-minute explanations about what I want the vocal to sound like, you know. It all becomes more of a connection between the artist and the producer. But overall, as a producer from each one of these records, your ears get finer. You're starting to understand more of what's selling, what's not selling, what's working for this artist or not, you know. And each record is really a learning experience. I mean, I'm doing this 20-something years, in every record I do. I still learn something new on every song that I'm doing. You know, that's what I love about this. Probably my favorite thing.